Okay everyone, so a while since I did a video blog. I had a weekend off last weekend with family down in St Ives, which was great. And I've managed to get my hair and my beard trimmed since the last time, so that's a big change, much better. Last few weeks haven't quite been as active as January. I was obviously out doing a lot of active things outdoors. You can see I'm indoors today. Did get away a couple of weekends, spent a day with my old district, Blaydon Scout District, had their climbing day, which was great fun. Good to catch up with some ex-scouting colleagues from the district and some young people. It's mostly been a lot of meetings since then and paperwork. We've had county executives and finance board meetings and so on. And this weekend it's catching up with paperwork and doing administration. You can probably see, here we go, lots of paperwork and stuff. It is of course census time, so this morning I've been working on completing the county census and helping some districts catch up with their census. Not the most exciting part of scouting, but it has to be done. One thing that I have been thinking about over the last few weeks though is mental health issues and how we support our young people and our colleagues in scouting. What prompted me to talk about that was a friend of mine who was relating to me a little bit about how poorly his mental health issues were supported in scouting. And I'm sure well-intentioned people were making suggestions like, you just need to pull yourself together, you need to go out and get drunk. It's not helpful. We all have issues with mental health. If we're lucky, sometimes those are minor, those are fleeting. Some people obviously have more serious challenges. None of us are immune to that. I can remember years ago in a work setting, I was away in a European city and I was just overworked and stressed. I got to the stage where I literally didn't know how I was going to cope with the workload. And one evening I just ended up having a mini breakdown. Walked around the rainy streets of Milan, tears in my eyes, just didn't know what I was going to do. And luckily a colleague who I didn't always get on with professionally realised I had an issue. He came and found me. We sat down and we talked, and just talking to somebody who was prepared to listen, who had some empathy, really made a difference. And I discovered that sometimes I get overworked, I get stressed. I've learned to recognise the signs, and I'm lucky that I can generally cope with that. But not all of our young people can do that. They're under a lot of pressure these days in scouting, peer pressure especially, pressure from the education system. And also our adults, we're busier than ever with work, with families, and of course we're passionate about our volunteering. And sometimes we take on what becomes too much. And we need to look after each other in scouting. It's not enough just to be comfortable talking about mental health as an issue. It is clearly as big an issue as physical health, but we need to treat it the same way as we do when people have physical conditions which are affecting their ability to get on with normal life. We need to keep an eye open for one another. We need to understand when people are perhaps struggling to do things that they would normally be on top of. Sometimes that's a sign of stress, sometimes it's a sign of depression, sometimes there's something going on in the background. Young people, as I mentioned, have eating disorders, they can be bullied, that can have a negative effect on them. And the most important thing we can do is to note those changes in people and offer to help. Now, we're not mental health professionals. We can't help people solve these problems. We can't always help them get at some of the underlying root causes of these issues. But we can lift some of the workload. We can help in a practical sense by providing support and cover. Sometimes it might just be helping with little things like taking care of the family shopping or picking kids up from school for people we know. But the most important thing we can do is really take the time to listen to people, to empathise with them, and to try and understand a little bit about what they're going through. We're not professionals. We can't solve all those problems for them. But what we can do as scouts is show respect and friendship. Certainly we need, under our duty of care to our young people, to provide support and if appropriate to get the right professionals involved. But I do get concerned sometimes about our adult volunteers A lot of our volunteers are passionate about their scouting, take a lot on, and because of changes in circumstances and through no choice of their own, people start to struggle with mental health issues. We need not just to be comfortable to talk about those things with one another, we need to engage with people who need our support and help. We need to let them know that we care for them, and that we will help. And sometimes listening, just as I found out all those years ago, somebody to listen makes such a big difference. So if you know somebody in scouting who's struggling with mental health issues, don't be afraid to reach out and just offer some support.